Per hour, it is $4 more than W2, so it would be something like 15.
$4 in what basis?
Per hour. Per hour, it is $4 more than W2.
Of what? Like you have to pay taxes for both parties, from employer end and from your end. So how much it is? If you're single, you are paying over 20% of taxes. So if you got salary offer on 1099 basis, you have to pay taxes. So in that case, I will go with tax how much? 20% on $90. How much it would be? 90,000.
Well, 90 is going to be bracketed at 25% already.
It should be about 110, right?
It's going to be 25 bracket, maybe even 30%. Depends on the
25%?
FC.
Yeah. So depending on the family type, right? I was always doing 20.
Probably 23 grand.
So it will be how much? $22. So 90K. No, 70K. Okay. So here is the thing. Let's assume you are getting 70 plus 15,000 about benefit plus 22,000 about your tax. So altogether how much?
Yeah, but you get to pay taxes anyway, right?
Well, here actually, when I was just basing on the one of the minimum salary, but here if it is 70%, assume that they already take care of the taxes, about 5,000. So let's assume a ballpark like your salary should be. I'm contrasting with this one. So if it is, I'm contrasting with that, it should be around 110K. Okay. So if it is 110K, so is equals to is hourly how much? 110 divided by 2,080 hours. $52, $53. Okay. Hourly $3. Okay. So now you have to quickly calculate that. When you're talking with them, you know around this amount. But if it is saying 90,000, then on W2 about $43, $45 per hour. So you can give a range like my salary range is $50 to $60 an hour. It should be in between. And then how much you're making? Let's assume that you're making for $45 an hour or $43 an hour or $40 an hour, but you are expecting a little bit more. Why more? Because you have already worked for this project 2 years, and you are expecting some promotion. Okay, so this would be kind of a quick calculation method. Is it helpful? Okay, so you can go with either one. But what happens if you don't have insurance? You need to buy insurance, which is you are about to, otherwise your tax will be a higher rate if you don't have insurance. That is Obamacare, one of the clauses. So, and some company they are saying, okay, we'll give you hourly rate, and whereas it is saying all exclusive, but we'll give you only medical benefit for you as a single only. So that they can discuss. Like it's very cheap. Maybe they will give you the basic plan, and for employee, sometimes it is free. Sometimes you just pay subscription as $100 or $200. But then you cannot accept medical insurance. But usually benefit has 401k, time paid PTO, which is PTO is around 10 days or 15 days paid time off, and then other thing like police reimbursement and long-term, short-term, and all this. Anyway, only applicable one is 401k and PTO and medical benefits. That three things is applicable for me. Anyway, so these are the things. So now, do you have any question that what you are missing for the recruiters? You can also ask, when can I hear the feedback that if my profile is got accepted? My profile, when the profile is accepted. Now, if I'm saying to you that, can you please send me your updated resume? What it means?
They just want us to put the keywords that are in their job description that they have just entered.
Yeah. So, or else like if they ask you to send the resume, definitely you have to ask for the, can you please shoot me an email as a follow-up email that I talked to you. So you have to have also correspondence with that person. Otherwise you will not have contact number for him or her, right? Sometimes they call from the main PBX number and then you lost their number. And also just always ask for the job requirement. Basically, it should be both parties' interest for that job. You should not be that humble, like without looking at the job requirement, you might not be interested in. So the job requirement should have much details, but if they don't have details, you can also ask the correspondence. But if they ask for the resume from your end as well, because they can see the resume online, that means they're expecting you to work on resume. That just try to match the keyword that is in the job requirement, but not in the resume. Okay, they also ask for short version of the job description name, which is called JD. What is JD mean? Okay. Can you send me the JD? So you talk on their language.
So, ma'am, I have a question for that. So I'm just wondering which one we should pay for, like 1099 or W2?
It is based on your preference. If your wife works and she has benefit system, I would go with the 1099. For 1099, you can make more money. You can save more money because if you buy dress even, you can save the receipt. You can claim for itemized bill. If you give me a lunch, you also can claim that I learned from Baby Beauty something. I gave her lunch.
That's an expensive one.
Give more money. End of the year, they have to give the more money for the tax time.
Yeah, you have to pay tax for the, you have to pay tax from the net income, not the gross income. So you have gross income of 110 and you expense administrative cost and cost of goods sold, meaning in order to get this job, you have to spend some money, right? So 10,000 you can just put aside for learning purposes. You can
no benefits, nothing. No Medicare, no nothing benefit.
What do you mean by that? I'm already showing you the differences.
No 1099, nothing.
Yeah, you will have to compare because if you have gross income, you can buy benefit system by your own. You can play with that big chunk of money, 30,000 money you have in your hand. You can play with that. So whether you can spend on for itemized bill, or you can buy benefit from Kaiser or anywhere, you can play with your money. And then RTR means what?
Right to represent?
Yes. Okay. And then what else you have been hearing?
One of the company like Infosys, I got a call from them and they were hiring for themselves. So they asked me about my range of the so I told them I would extend from 82 to 85,000 per annum. So he said okay. And then after that, he didn't send me the rate confirmation email. I asked him back you didn't send me the rate confirmation email and you are submitting my profile. So he said that this is we are hiring for ourselves, so there is no rate confirmation email.
Yeah, sometimes it is based on your merit, based on your skill set, they will determine how much they should give you. So Yeah, if they're hiring for other company, of course they will send you right to represent. If there are many recruiters are working, so you have to be reading carefully. They sometimes send Baby Beauty is giving you authorization to submit this, but also you have to make sure that you are not giving them full 3 months period right to represent. You are just giving right to represent for that particular job code. Like there is a job code. If the job goes to the marketplace, meaning it's kind of globally they are marketing, like Freddie Mac job, Fannie Mae's job, Verizon job, they have job code.
So what if like let's say that I have submitted my profile to a specific position from one recruiter, okay, and I haven't heard back from him for like a month, and after that period I have another recruiter offering me the same position. So can I apply for that?
No, once you give the right to represent to one company,
so it is forever like.
Yeah, then that for that position it's locked with them.
So maybe like they like, because sometimes recruiters lie. They don't submit profile and they say that yes, I have submitted your profile. So like.
No, I think the right to represent, when they will get it, that means they are submitting. So when there is a right to represent comes in the picture, you can wait 2-3 hours and see if
like,
other company calls you. So if you are talking to the 2 recruiters with the same job, then you can lock in between one person.
So this kind of scenario happened to me. I applied to a company for a position, and after 1 week, I have got a call from the same recruiter, but from the same consultancy, but from a different recruiter. And he was offering me the same job. I told him that I have already applied for this job through your company, and if you can look up in your database, you can find my name and all that stuff. But I haven't heard back from you. So he said like, okay, you can send me all that data again, and I will submit your profile. It is not yet submitted. So I contacted that recruiter again who submitted my profile in the first place. So he told me that I have gone through the references that you provided me, and they are not they are Gmail references. We need official references. So if you can give me those references, then I will go ahead.
Yeah, that can happen, but
He didn't submit my profile.
I understand. So I would suggest you to, whenever the right to represent comes in the picture, that means this job is with many recruiters. Talk to, like when they're saying, can you send me the right to represent, you also have to wait. See if you get another call or email. So talk to multiple people. Like I would go with the big company, like who has ability to submit, like prime consultant company. You know, like buying house from the sub agent versus the main agent is different, right?
Yes.
Your correspondence will be much more smooth if you go with the main agent. So that is what I'm saying. Like if somebody like calling from Renston and he is really dedicated and liking my resume, so I would go with them versus another Indian company who is judging on my profile. That person is judging on your profile at this point, like whether the reference is not look good, whether the resume is not look good, whether your conversation is suspicious on all this. They're judgmental. So you have to avoid some. You can filter it out when you have more than one situation, right? So before you send the RTR, you have to look at if you get other call or not.
So what must have I done? Like should I give him
some submission can be missing this way. Don't worry. If you have multiple submissions, like in a day, submit 5, 10, 20, and then you can get feedback next week. Some two of them maybe. You don't know. Maybe you just think, oh, I didn't play any video game today. Sending their profile is like, for me, it's a video game. Oh, there is no conversation. You never know. Like last week, maybe you submitted many, and this week you will be getting some interview calls.
Through the fish, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
The big fish.
So, do more. Okay, so I think we are done with the recruiting thing, right? So, recruiting thing, we can come over again, and here I'm giving some discussion. Next week, I'm not going to give discussion. I'm going to ask question to you guys, and you have to be smart. Okay. And this thing should be all known. Okay. Okay, I'll make it clean and then send it to you guys. JD means job description that the recruiters say, that is their their language. Did you see my JD? And you will be all of a sudden surprised to hear. That's why I'm just saying that commonly they just talk about JD. But I hear from Indian folks only, not the American folks. And American folks, they said job rack. Like that. They just use short term. Okay, so who was my candidate? I forgot. Saija, can you please raise your hand, please? Okay. So, okay, we'll go with his requirement. How about that?
Okay.
Let me just go through that. Okay.
Just so you can accommodate two people.
Yeah. So his requirement is saying you need to be good at manual testing, web service testing, automation testing. Okay.
Okay.
So based on this requirement, I can ask you some question. Okay.
Sure.
Attitude for the job requirement. Let me read it to you quickly. Okay, and see if it makes sense to you. Attitude to analyzing data and business processes. Okay. Ability to follow instructions while also applying learned knowledge. Ability to work with minimal supervision in a very dynamic work environment. Demonstrate good judgment in selecting methods and techniques for testing software. Ability to communicate effectively to both technical and non-technical audience in written and non-written formats. Solid understanding of the various testing concepts, functional, usability, automation, and performance. Wow, performance for you. Solid understanding of the software development lifecycle, methodologies, processes, and procedures. Okay, so these are the HP tool expertise and change management process as well. Proactive communicator who gains consensus and escalate issues as appropriate to keep project on schedule. Okay, so this is the requirement. Let me try to know from your skill set. So one of the question that commonly I was asked, if I give you a chunk of requirement, what would be your testing process?
Okay. If you give me a chunk of requirements, I would first make a test plan and test cases out of that. And how I would like to test it, I will also include some negative testing, which will help me to test the software with more requirements that is not really a part of the requirements. That's how I would do the testing.
Mm-hmm. So what is your testing approach or process, right? So you said beginning with test plan. Okay, I will go through the question first and then give you analysis afterward, okay?
Okay.
So have you worked with web service testing, and how did you do it in your project?
I haven't had direct experience in web servicing. However, I have worked with my colleagues that are working on a different project right now that are working with web services. So I definitely know about it. So, and I'm also willing to learn. So if that's what is requirement for this position, I will be more than happy to get myself into it and be willing to learn myself before I join in.
Okay, cool. So can you please tell me the difference between functional testing and system testing?
Functional testing is testing where we are checking the functions of the software that we are testing. Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I forgot the second one.
Functional testing and system testing.
And system testing is the first step of the software development lifecycle, where the application is tested as a whole before we test it separately.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes.
Here, the functional testing versus system testing. You want to say that again?
Sure. Functional testing is a type of black box testing where it's based on the requirements of the software that is to be tested. And the application is usually tested by providing inputs and then analyzing the outputs, how it's responding to it. However, system testing is a test of the whole system as a whole. So the application is tested in that process. Application is tested thoroughly to verify that it meets the functional and technical specifications of that.
Okay. So, have you written test plan, and what is the content in the test plan?
Yes, I have worked on test plans under supervision. So test plan usually consists of a test scope, which tells us more about what to test and what not to test. It also contains test strategy, specifically how we want to perform that specific test, like if we want to do performance testing or unit testing. And then it contains a resource requirement, pretty much defining what hardwares are we going to be using, if we have enough technology to proceed with those tests, and how many QA testers are going to be working on that project, etc. Then we have also some details about risk and risk management, detailing just being prepared. What if the QA, one of our QA testers leave in between, or any of that situation? And then we have exit criteria, where we pretty much describe if the 100% test scripts have been executed, or how many did pass, and that information.
Okay. So, what are the I mean, why do you like QA testing? What is the good part that you like about it?
Quality assurance testing, I like about it that it's really planned and it's done in a systematic way. So it helps us to be on track, as well as to be able to test the application before it's released.
Okay. And why you don't like it? Why would you not like it?
I wouldn't. That's a tricky question. I just wouldn't like it sometimes if it's something is not well planned. Like usually right now at my work, we usually do stand-up meetings every day. So if I wouldn't really like it if we wouldn't do something in a systematic way.
Okay. So what would be your weaknesses?
Um, so far, I think I'm an expert at what I'm doing currently at my job. So I don't think I have any weaknesses at the job I'm performing right now. However, yes, I believe that I need to be gaining more education towards technology. I know a lot of companies are using Selenium and stuff. So I would like to eventually learn those different softwares.
Okay. So can you tell me your automation expertise? What kind of skill set you applied in one of your projects?
Yes, so I have done both. In my projects, I've worked with both automation as well as manual testing, and they're both usually each 50% of it. Excuse me, I'm an expert at Qt. I use VBScript, and I can do script enhancements, work with object repositories and data parameterization,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do error handling, environment variables, and frameworks.
So what kind of method do you apply? Like, is it record and play, or what is your scripting method?
Scripting method, I usually wrote VBScript.
Okay. Why do you bypass the object repository?
I'm sorry?
Why do you bypass the object repository?
Because it's by using VBScript, I have more, you can say, freedom of what I specifically want to test. By record and run method, I am more specific to whatever is there. But by creating my own script, I can make sure that it is as close to the requirements that we need to test.
So what type of framework have you used in the past?
I have used data-driven framework.
Mm-hmm. And why? And why not other things? Can you explain me broadly?
Yes, I've used data-driven frameworks because it helps me to put the input and then input that I want to put in, and we can verify the output by verifying what output it should actually be giving. So I like working with that.
Okay. So what is the difference between call to action and copy to action?
Can you repeat your question?
Yes. What is the difference between call to action and copy to action?
Quality action.
No, call to action and copy to action.
Call to action and copy to action. I honestly don't know that.
Okay, that's fine. So, so in SDLC phase, where typically you are involved in as a tester?
In SDLC phase, I am mostly involved in all the phases, but once we get the requirements, I'm usually in the meetings with the developers and just taking notes, which helps me to see once I get the project, or at least start planning ahead of time, what I would like to test on that project. So I usually work in test planning phase, test analysis phase, not so much in test design, but I still like to attend the meetings in that. And obviously I'm sorry, I totally lost it there.
Okay, so do you work on process artifacts, and do you know about what does baseline mean?
Can you repeat that?
Do you work on process artifacts which are involving in the baselining process, and what is the baseline means to you?
I'm sorry, I don't know that one as well.
Okay, so I'm paraphrasing my question, okay?
Sure.
Do you work on QA process artifacts which are involved in configuration management system? Do you have answer for that?
No, I don't think so. No.
What does baseline okay. What is the difference between data-driven testing and synchronization means to you?
Can you repeat your question? You said, what does it mean by data-driven testing and synchronizing?
Okay, so let me ask some of the questions to you. Can you come over here? And then you hear and then see where the correction you can make of those questions, okay? You can mute yourself. So, which question I was not satisfied, I can ask you those questions and see if you have better answer, because you are the candidate for the next week, right? This week.
Yeah.
So, she answered many of the questions almost good, but it can be a little bit broader. And like, I want more analysis, why it is not good, why it is good. And you should have some technical inclusion in there. So when I give you some requirements, what is your testing process? What approach you follow? And you have attended my class and you know those things that I discussed. So yeah, go through it.
Yeah. So first of all, like, so my approach to testing an application is basically that
you're not testing yet. See, my question is, I just gave you some requirement, and you have to apply testing process. What would be the standard process that you follow? What would be your approach? Your approach means always best practice process. That is, many of the IT industries are following, and which is being taught in here. So you will be saying that is the best practice approach that I follow. They are like
so like, I'm not getting what you want me to.
Remember, I always discuss about the testing process. All you have to bulletize those items, saying that throughout my whole project, I have been following the best practice approach, which are analyzing the review requirement, analyzing requirements.
So yeah, obviously, when you give me requirements, I will.
Then tell me those nicely, so that
okay.
I can be satisfied. Because she started saying from test planning.
Okay.
So I'm missing some of the points from there.
So yeah, obviously, I start with analyzing the requirement with the application and.
Loudly, please. They're not hearing well.
So I will start with the analysis of the requirements, and then I will come up with different kind of test cases for the for those requirements, and I would design some positive test cases, negative test cases, and some boundary testing, and I would also design some test cases for sanity testing, and obviously for functional testing, and some of the test cases would be from non-functional testing, and then yeah, that would be my first.
Okay, can I correct the showing, because at this analysis phase I'm gonna correct your question, because her one was formalized one, your one would be like one-on-one basis. Okay, so basically the question to be answered in a way that you are making it, but you are not making it in two minutes word, right? So remember, like I discussed about the testing process, review the requirements. So each phase you have some activities. STLC process is software testing life cycle that needs to be followed by all testers, and that is what it is called review the requirement. During the review, you will be communicating with the requirement owner, who is the business analyst. If there is any ambiguity, if this is non-functional, or it doesn't have any traceability, or it is not testable, it is not attainable, or it is a duplicate, it doesn't mean anything. You need to communicate and understand. After that, you analyze in a way that what approach you will be followed for your test planning purpose, meaning you are thinking. All you have to be is just philosopher, okay, during analysis phase. Then you do test planning activities. See, some question you will be answering in a way that I or we. If you think that group of people will be involved in, just say we. We follow a standard defined process, which is STLC life cycle, which are, we in our job we follow this way, that the requirement should be reviewed and then communicated well with the business analyst, analyze the requirement, what testing approach should be followed, and then planning testing, writing test cases, executing the testing, and defect management. This life cycle will be repeatedly followed throughout the project development life cycle. Make sense?
Yes.
If you can tell this, that means you are a tester. If you know each phase what you are doing, that means you are a great tester. You don't necessarily have to be great in QTP, because the QTP is one of the process enhancer for testers. Because in order to do it manually, you are just having a tool which the QTP robot will be mimicking of you, and robot will take care of your manual effort. Make sense?
Yeah.
I'm just saying differently today. Sorry. Am I rude? No, okay. So yeah, QTP has a robot, right? Like which you are telling to do QTP by, what you would do. But so in order to be a tester, you need to be process oriented. You need to be abide to the process. You are the person who would be telling them that, hey, I'm the police officer. Follow the process. I'm showing you this is the procedure, but I'm not judging on your work. Like police officer can take you to the court. Police officer cannot victimize you at that spot, right? So you are going to give ticket, meaning defect. You're not saying that, hey, what the craft development you did. It's just web service testing, as I discussed, that you can say SOAP UI, but the fundamental concept that you should not forget that before the interface is ready, you wanted to see the two tables, how it is being correspondent with the web element. And you can feed with the XML third-party tool, which is SOAP UI, or UFT has that component, to make sure that the web element is corresponding with the web service manager efficiently, so that the when the application is being ready, you can have the front end communicating with the back end and data or elements correctly. So that's the concept, right? In order to do so, you will have XML feed and then, or like request and response to see the forms elements are being correspondent with the web service mechanism. Okay. So, and then what is the difference between, if somebody asks you difference between these versus that or this and this, you will have to define completely two terms with an example, and you can contrast it. But which one you would be saying first, that is up to you. If you see that it comes first, like I would say functional testing first, then system testing, because functional testing is returning you, returning user's activity in a behavioral way for the specific expected result, right? It's functioning, whether it is with the system as a whole or just application itself. It's just you are clicking on something within the application, is functioning and it is giving you some results. Like as you see that hyperlink in the document. So if the content is in the document, it will be returning you at from the bottom part of the document, right? It doesn't have to be going through the network or compatible with the other hardware system. When the system testing comes in the picture, you have three things: software, hardware, and network. These three technology, when it is compatible with the functionality, then it is called the system testing. You can learn that literal definition from the book, but the keyword should be said. If you say functional, it should be saying behavioral activity, and the system should return expected outcome of the specific user's request from the system's behavior, right?
Can we use terms like front end, back end?
See, the front and back end, it also affiliated with the network or non-network. Software, hardware, network. Whether the network is LAN network or via website. Do you understand? So, if you have front end means what? What I'm saying? Interface, which is not associated with, let's say not associated with anything. It's just my desktop is not connected with the Wi-Fi. Okay? I don't have any internet connection. I have only Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office is giving me some text. Within the text, there is a hyperlink that I'm clicking on it and I'm getting some return. That is called functional.
We cannot say the functional testing is testing at front end.
So that is one scenario, okay, without network. But it also refers to when this functionality should be returning via website. So if it is via website, that means the software has a code, hardware is compatible, and the network is giving you with the different server response, right? So the code is in the, let's say code is in Washington DC, and you are the client because you are clicking from here, and you don't have wiring connection with the Washington DC, so how you are getting to that server? Via website, right? So it is web-based system, but it is giving you functional behavior via website. So that is called web-based testing. It's my understanding. You guys maybe learned this from CNSS class a lot, but you have to have basic understanding of what is the web-based application versus standalone application, like software application. Software application is the software that is run from a computer-based software.
From the client.
Yeah, the software can be also in your stove at home, right? That's not a computer-based software. That's a machine-based software. But here, we are dealing with the computer, meaning you have some interaction, you are clicking on something, and the system is giving you outcome of it. But then the software application is which runs from your computer, standalone. But then it is, when it is web-based, that means it has to have web connections, whether it should be VPN connected or public-faced interface. Like if you go to yahoo.com, that's public facing interface, right? It's anonymous user can go there. But when you go to your email domain, that is going to the another server is which maintaining your emails. So that is secure, which is it's private. It is web-based, but it is private internal application. Make sense? Question? Am I confusing you from the CNSS class? So if this understanding is clear, then when you read your resume, it will be really crystal clear. I have thorough, you are saying about yourself, like I have thorough understanding about the web-based application. I have worked on internal application as well as web-based application. But I wouldn't say web-based as a separate item. Both are website nowadays. One is internal, one is external. Under web-based, one umbrella, both are working, whether it is private or public, right? So that's concept clarification. Okay. Have you written test plan and what are the contents you did said correctly, but also you could. Yeah, she didn't say the which process you have come up with from. You have to first review requirement, analyze the requirement, and come up the acceptance criteria, the high level scope of testing, and then you can plan for testing procedure, right? Without knowing that what am I gonna be testing, how do you plan the testing? So your main component should be the scope of testing, which is the feature to be tested, and which feature not to be tested, that also should be elaborated. Otherwise, you might be testing something differently, which is the developer will be mad. So you need to also correspondence that with the business analyst. Why do you like QA job? Yeah, she said that it is process oriented. Well, also you need to add there. Can you add that, which you can be adding? Why do you like QA job?
So yeah, it is a very process-oriented job, process-oriented, and I'm also a process-oriented person, and I like the things to be done in a very documented way and in a proper process. And yes.
Apart from that, do you have any other points than for process-oriented? Any other points? Anybody here?
I'd like to talk about that search about other ones in application.
Oh, so you want to be police inspector? Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
Kind of nice tool to understand the application. I work probably on that.
Okay, I would add something else as well. Yeah, like you can say that I have a test to break attitude, which I wanted to find the defect from any software, even day-to-day basis. Whenever I am affiliated to any application, I try to find the process is gap here, or it is buggy, or I need to just give the proper feedback to this company to continuously improve their bug security. You can just talk that way.
So you said test to break attitude?
Yeah. Bang, bang.
Yeah, I was thinking like a test to fix attitude.
Test to break. You don't fix. You break.
We are not developers.
Because if you put some funny information in the form, which are not allowed, meaning you have some funny characters in your keyboard, right? Do you know which are those?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. The computer. No, this is also good to know.
It's the first time I hear this term.
No, that's fine. I'm just breaking it out again. There are some functions, but item here which are computable, like f parentheses or what is that called? The root and then dot. So these are the mathematical functions, right? Those are always excluded for the requirement as a special character to be used. So that needs to be clearly defined in the requirement document. Yeah, those are the mathematical functions that not to be used for the users. because user cannot use that because the system might be contrasting. That input can be contrasting the code, so it might be breaking the system. So if it is excluded from the requirement point of view, you need to test to include it to check whether it is to be breaking or not. Your point is to be able to break before it goes to the user. If you can break it during the system development, it's a good testing, so that the user will be not affiliated to this break, right? And that is why you are paid $100,000 to try to break the system.
You know, yesterday Jay was telling in the class that in his first job, he was working and the vice president was passing through the desk and he said, hey, did you break anything? And they were thinking, I didn't break the computer, I didn't break anything, everything is fine. And they said, no, I'm fine, I didn't break anything. And you know what happened next.
Yeah, so this is what you should be saying. Yes, I am really using my best hammer to break it.
Yeah, he didn't know at the time. He
Yeah.
didn't know the first job.
So good to know these discussions. Any discussion we are saying, it's very good to know. So yeah, I would pause and effectively pause, not the confusing pause, and saying that, well, I like QA job because it's number one, it's process oriented. Number two, it has a lot of, I'm working lots of highly technical teams, and I'm really fascinated to IT stuff. I'm learning continuously every day and just teaming up with the new technological people. And I always work with dynamic people, so I learn every day, right? And of course, one of the things that I'm a best tester because I like to find the best bug that nobody ever can find. So I have a test to break attitude. And what else? The QA job I like because I'm the key person in the project, and when I do a really good job, people are really accountable of me because it's I'm the person who's making sure that the software is bug-free and customer is happy. And because of me, business can be expanded, business can be closed. So I actually find myself, I'm the key person in the project, and I have to be abide to the process and make sure other people are also following the process. So you can include those good stuff, couple of good stuff, and discuss. So it doesn't matter how I'm talking, what I'm talking, that is matter. I might be not talking with good language, by the way, good English. Why you don't like it? I cannot say anything why you don't like it.
Yeah, like her answer was perfect.
Yeah, she was saying good. And then, what is your weakness?
So
You don't. I mean, she was saying, Saida was saying about technological improvement, right?
so
What she was saying?
she was saying something about
I have some weakness on some technology.
Learning the new stuff.
Learning new stuff.
Not learning it, but she wants to learn.
New stuff. So. Whenever you have new scope from the project, and you always are able to provide services, meaning whether it is to be quick learning from the online or anything, you have prior knowledge or you are learning quickly to keep it up, right? You are able to work in the fast phase environment with the dynamic team. So that is not your weakness at all. Nothing technological part, I would say I'm weak on that. Some behavioral part, you can say, that you have been constantly improving. You had weakness, you are improving it, and it is not restricting your job to be done, and you are not a problematic person for the team. So what is that?
So whenever I get we get our assignments and we have deadlines, I I make sure that I work too hard on those deadlines to meet those deadlines that I sometimes neglect my family, and it is hard for me to keep the balance between the work and home. And but yes, I'm working on it, and I'm continuously improving out of this
time management.
Yeah, because of effective time management.
Yeah, that's good example. Yeah, something that you are doing for the accomplishing the project goal, which is you can relate to your personal life or family life is harming, but you are showing the best person for the work. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I go with something personal, like I'm like the late person, I work best afternoon?
Unless you know that company has a flexible hour. If they're saying you can work with the evening shift, then you can say that. Well, that is the one of the reasons that I like this project, because it allows me to work in the evening shift. Because usually I'm late, but I'm trying to be waking up early.
So can we shift it to something more personal instead of going technical?
Yeah, anything you can identify, but as I'm saying randomly that what I would say that, well, I was going to say this myself one time, that I used to go to meetings with the to-do list item, sending to the group of people. Like, let's say I'm leading a QA meeting, and I send, okay, the items to be discussed, the to-do item, agenda, to the team in the email. And I found out that nobody comes with, not everybody comes with the laptop in the meeting. So what I start doing is that I'm printing out the agenda and then I just pass it to the team member. So what I had been having the problem is like using the highly technological stuff for our every team members, but then I'm just going backward a little bit, that not to think that everybody should be highly technical in the team.
Like providing paper copies?
Yeah. So you see that the thing is, in some company I worked with, nobody is working any papers. Okay. Everybody is taking note in the computer. We go to the meeting with the computer, and like network is there everywhere. So we don't use the paper anymore, right?
And this is not our weakness. It is our
It is my weakness, not our. This is my. Weakness is something that you identify that is the problem you had, but you improve it. So my weakness was always have a habit of highly technological stuff to be correspondence with anybody, but not knowing that somebody might have some weaknesses on the technology stuff. So I start learning that in the team, everybody is not highly technological. So I use some paper copy for the team, and I improve that method. So one of the methods that you had to use it by knowing that other people has that capacity, but now I have improved that. So I'm not depending on the technology that much for the other people, not for me. I am highly technological, but thinking I have been changing it. Can it be weakness? Make sense? And his example was correct, that because of the project has a crucial deadline, and I have really abide to that deadline, and I'm following the direction. I'm also part of the deliverables effort that I need to accomplish this common goal. So I'm sometimes bypassing my family calls, and then I'm dedicated to the testing. Even sometimes I test at night, 10 o'clock, and because I need to give report in the morning or talk to the team member that there is a major defect that can be fixed before it goes to the production, which is you don't have enough time to report. So I'm just giving you a detailed example. You don't have to say that detail. You have to just say that because of the project has crucial deadline, and I am sometimes bypassing the family time, and so I found out that the family time and office time is a little bit conflicting sometimes because of my dedication. So I try to improve my time management with the balancing with family time.
So it's more like making negative a positive, right? They might take that as a positive.
Yeah, it is
It has
negative
to be first negative, then you have to cover up with
with the
something
positive.
But I mean, I could easily say I work too hard. That could be.
No,
but there are-
you're not physically putting your effort. That is the thing. Like working hard is referring to the time. And if you are, whichever you can report so quickly in 2 minutes, if you constantly keep on reading for 2 hours, you are wasting the time, right? It doesn't make effective work. Like even you work hard, it doesn't make sense. Okay?
Actually, I have a question, but not related to this particular point. But when I was in the market, always actually I faced the question. They say, "Why you think we're gonna hire you in this company? We have the same Canadian and same quality.
So why we hire you and
Why
why?
you think what you gonna bring to the company?"
Yes, so this is the thing. Why do you like your job? What is your strength and why do you hire you? The same
What do you think
answer.
went on?
Or why should we hire you? So you have to say the good attributes that you have, and you should say that I see in your job description that you are looking for a candidate who has these attributes which I have, and I think I am the best candidate for this position. Just brag yourself.
I'm more confident.
Yeah. Or you can say like, what is the strength a QA professional should have?
And what you gonna bring to the company if we hire you? That's all. They used to ask me this question.
Yeah. Okay. Strength. Huh? Strength. E, right? Yeah. Strength. So, yeah, automation skill set. I didn't hear clearly, that's why I was drilling down to many other questions. Right? If I ask you a broad question about your automation skill set, you can elaborate the whole thing, framework process, or like every keyword that needs to be included, which are commonly you have to work on functional library based on your application analysis, right? So remember I was just saying that the automation also has a process, understanding the current application, understanding what method should be applied, like should it be feature driven, method, keyword driven or data driven, and you determine data driven would be the best approach. And then what are the data to be included. If you don't have test data, you have to create the test data file, and then you have to making sure that which are the functions will be commonly used, and there the call-in method comes in the picture. Even you are doing the descriptive programming or record and play or just function itself, right? So you have to identify the framework method and elaborate in here. Well, if they're narrowing down and asking some questions about data-driven testing and synchronization, what is synchronization means to you? Time between...
No, it's just synchronization. Oh, I thought synchronization testing. It is just synchronization. Okay, yeah. So synchronization is we basically want USD to keep up with the web browser.
What is the default time?
I think it's 10 seconds, 5 seconds.
20 seconds.
Like
It's a millisecond. What is the millisecond? So like the QTP reads 100 milliseconds equivalents to 1 minute, right?
100 milliseconds is 1 minute.
That's the QTP language. But then if you have by default time selection in the setting, you need to change. It is that anytime the object has, like you have application wait time. What is the application wait time maximum time? Do you know that?
Maximum wait time for an application, it should be like it should be.
It is one of the standard for the application developers.
For
like
every application.
if there is a web element that you click, and how long you can wait till get the functional response. There is a standard time as well. Like QTP has a standard time. It should be maximum time than the application time, because the application is spinning itself, and you are telling QTP to click and then spinning. So QTP also has a wait time to make sure that QTP also understand and analyze and then click, right? Everybody is processing in here. Even the robot needs to process, right? So the robot needs some extra time than the application time. So you need to either maximize the time, or you need to make it unlimited time. There are three options, I guess. You need to change whether it is you want to go with the default one. So QTP will recognize the time based on the behavior of the system, or you can make it ultimate time, or you can give the expected time. Because if there is some data processing, it might be a coming in the requirement saying to create a report, it will take 10 minutes because it's collecting the data from many servers. Okay, so if it is 10 minutes, then it is out of the system requirement. It's coming from the business requirement. So you have system requirement document, which is technical elaboration in there. So the standard inclusion and exclusion are defined. You have business requirement, which are specific to the requirement. I'm seeing the performance is in the picture. So if the performance in the picture, that means this is the question they can ask. What is the synchronization means to you? What is the data-driven testing means to you? Meaning,
so how can we relate these two things with each other, synchronization and data-driven testing?
it is not related. I just need to know whether you know or not, because the synchronization is referred to both.
The difference between them. That's why I thought it is synchronization testing.
No, I didn't say testing. Data-driven and synchronization. If I say testing, that is both connected to each other. So I didn't write mistake language. Okay.
Different thing.
Okay. So let's say. Okay, let me show you. If I would say this, I would be a dumb writer, right? Either I don't know synchronization or I am writing wrong way. But I wrote correctly. I am saying this is one item and this is one item. Okay? So, look at the synchronization method from QTP. What are the options and what are they doing? And then you can be. Now, here you have to understand this, that let's say, like in QTP, in QC, there is a report generator in the, you go to analysis section in the defect component and you can create test status report, right? So if you have a lot of data, like you are creating all defects, which are maybe more than 1,000 defects in the system, and you are trying to create, it will take a little bit more time, right? That would be coming from the business requirement. And that can refer to the data-driven testing too, because your QTP is running one script for multiple sets of data. So multiple sets of data is taking time. Like if there is a requirement saying each process will take 3 minutes and you have 10 sets of data, so 3 minutes times 10 is how much time? So by doing the QTP testing, you are actually doing the performance testing too. Similarly, QTP script will be given to the performance tester, and they will run the response time, volume time, stress testing, and all this of that particular testing. So if you have that idea, you might get this job.
So it looks like most of your technical question, QTP related. Are you going to cover anytime soon the Selenium-based, Selenium-related questions or not?
Well, Selenium is different sets of questions, but
my concern was there.
Yeah.
The Selenium questions.
But
I see some people already from my group online, so I wonder if you're going to cover any Selenium.
I don't know Selenium, but I can give you some tips on that. So based on what framework you are using, are you using Eclipse or what?
No, IntelliJ.
Okay, and then are you using IDE first, and then?
No, never use IDE.
IDE, you don't use IDE at all. Okay, so are you doing XPath?
Locators, CSS.
XPath. Okay, so you are just similar. You are using similar approach as descriptive programming. So descriptive programming is actually doing XPath formula. Descriptive programming is analyzing the object from at that point. So you are also dealing with the class, object, and XPath, and like even browser driver, right, as a common. So it can be doing the cross-browsing testing as well. The method is same. The QA procedure is same. All I'm triggering to your XPath mechanism that is equivalent to descriptive programming. Exactly. Okay. If you have data, you can also plug in as a data-driven testing, which is you maybe know how to do it. And only one thing is QTP is doing only IE dependency.
What dependency?
The Internet Explorer dependent browser testing only.
Oh, so
And
Firefox.
no, so it is very hard for web-based application to do the cross-browser testing. But the Selenium, you can create if you're running from Firefox, which is the highly recommended one for the Selenium, and then you can use IE as another WebDriver, Google for another WebDriver, Safari for another WebDriver. So you can make different functions for calling action type, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just basically the same thing. You will be talking with your language.
So yeah,
That
this
is-
is a very important question. If they ask me like, how do you do cross-browser testing in QTP? So how should I?
QTP doesn't allow to do cross-browser
But-
testing except IE. So that's the dependency. So you can say I use some functionality, the business process functionality you can take, and you can run it manually from the different browsers. Some functionalities you can take, like about 10 functionality you can take, which are the heavily impacted functionality, which you have first initiated. Those functionality you can run from Safari for desktop, meaning you don't have to have Apple computer in front of you. You can run it from Windows computer. It will be like mimic of Apple, but it is not Apple. It is orange. That is Apple. Anyway, that's not 100% test by the way, but we do test that way.
I have two questions. You didn't post the answer online.
I can do here.
Appreciate it.
Okay. 1 second. Yeah, what I'm saying, like the automation planning, you have to follow the same way as the framework method. Like you have to include the cross-browsing approach and data-driven testing, and then you set up object class in a way functional base, like which functions are to be very heavily impacted throughout the continuous integration, and you will be testing feature base. Now in Selenium there are two types of testing. One is unit level, which is you are working with developers from the code coverage point of view. Another one you are covering from the functional point of view based on the requirements. So which one you are good at about?
So I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
If you are doing the continuous integration, if you are doing automation testing from the continuous integration purposes, you may do black box testing or white box testing. So most companies they are expecting you to be white box tester for Selenium. So that is beyond my limit. I can only give you the guidelines, black box type of question. And if you even say that, because you are expert on black box type of testing using QTP, you are covering most functional features from the business requirement point of view. You are a QA tester. And if you are coming from the development experience and you are closely working with the developer, and you are almost like a developer when you are doing white box testing. So then you need to be detail oriented on the object class and what are the mechanisms that you find. For example, QTP has a question that there is a one-line script that if you run that, you can know how many links are in the application, right? Whether it is 1,000 functional buttons or 1,600 or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So same thing maybe Selenium also has, right?
I don't know.
You don't know that? So yeah, I mean, see, if you are an automation engineer, most likely, like if you are using any kind of WebDriver or anything and you have QTP, so they will call you for black box type of tester. And if you have been exaggerating a lot about Selenium for all projects, they will expect you to be a white box tester. So I would mix match a little bit if you are weaker, Put a little bit QA stuff and then be a manual tester and white box, like gray box tester, So that would be a good coverage. Okay, we should be done. So, Ahmed, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Huh?
You always forget my name.
No, I was enabling another person here.
Oh, okay. No.
I'm just saying, do you have any question? Quick question for your interview.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, what does baseline means to you?
Minimum requirement.
So baseline can be anything which you are coming from informal creation to a certain point that you are finalizing the drafting. So that is the version 1. So we call you can call it test plan as baseline, requirement as baseline, project management plan as baseline. It refers to the all artifacts or the system. When the system is fully released and it goes to the production, now this product is baseline. Then after that, they will be doing the continuous enhancement. So baseline is the final version from the continuous update.
And I'm sorry, let me ask you. For an artifact of like a data with the right testing, it's not like an object.
Pardon me?
The artifacts, those are data, right?
The artifacts I'm referring to, like if you're talking about test management plan, project management plan, requirement plan, so each document is meaningful. So we are calling as artifacts.
In a Java.
Shaija, do you have any question?
No, not as much, but I'm just running into like couple with the recruiters. I had my interview with like just not really a technical interview, but just a normal interview with one of the companies. And he asked me like, what is the percentage? How much percent do you think like you use SQL? And then I told him like 20-25%, and he threw all the questions at me from SQL. So like, is it like usually whatever you say you're not comfortable with, that's what they throw the questions at us?
No, I mean, they wanted to know whether you are familiar with all these queries. Like I would refer you to go to W3C, always handy, and go through these things. It's really good explained here. And if you learn these things, and then you're okay. Meaning, see, each question, if it is asked that
Crazy, just crazy a lot.
what I'm gonna show you technique. Hold on, my technique.
Okay.
Maybe your technique is different. If the question is asked that what does the distinct returns to you, right? Or what does the distinct query does for you? Look at this. This is good enough. The distinct keyword can be used to return only distinct, different values. Different values. Don't say distinct, different values, okay?
Okay.
Or distinct query can return the unique value from that column entity, okay?
Okay.
Distinct value can return the unique. Okay, eliminates the duplicate. Okay, where is it written?
So you're saying the interviewer will expect to know from us to know like all the SQL queries?
Yeah, this is required because if you're a tester, you need to do backend testing at the time of the application is in the construction phase. Before the construction phase, meaning it's when the infrastructure has been designed, and then you have to they create the data table, and you need to test whether the business rules are correctly applied or not. So.
But in regard to SQL, we just take in the data from SQL and sometimes we push it back the result, right? It's not like
it's not that simple always.
Analyzing.
It's not always simple. You might be you might be querying the data from the different data table, and you need to do some math in the Excel spreadsheet to find out exact rule that has to be applied. So let's say in the application currently, database has some rule that all the data should be storing with the 7, 8 decimal places. But in application, you need to have a whole number, right? So you need to test that way, based on the requirement. We'll talk about that later. But what I was just quickly showing that.
Later? Today?
Not today. Another day. Man, you have to go home.
You're not coming on Tuesdays, right?
No, I'm not.
Because it was cancelled like twice already.
I don't have any idea about Thursday's class.
If lot of people are say their resume that they came from PhD, what the ethics for that? Because everybody is saying, oh, I have job in PhD.
Why are you in the job market?
No.
Do you say that you will?
Not I am. You say that you told that, or other people can say that we have experience in the PhD.
No, I don't say that. Your POC will guide you through, and you don't say directly that you are from here. You will be talking about your project. Project can be owned by anybody, right? So you need to technically avoid that part. So anyway, this is kind of math. You need to say accurately. Whether you are saying exactly like this, it doesn't matter. If you say accurately, you get 10 out of 10.
So yeah, he asked me the question like, what is your experience in backend testing? So I said, yeah, I have experience in backend testing. Then he asked me then, how would you rate yourself?
So okay, give me an example quickly, okay? Oh, so hello, just give me 1 or 2 minutes. Let me give you an example, okay? Quickly. The business rule said the salary total should display in whole decimal place with nearest rounding up, something like that. I might be wrong to say, but do you understand?
Yes.
Good. That's the way to understand the requirement. Now, previously or in the database, in DB, it stores, okay, the salary stores in whatever the meaning it's 9 or 12, I mean not maybe not more than 10 I guess. Database has limit, like how much decimal point can be storing, right? It stores in 9 or I would say 7 or 7 to 9 decimal precision, right? So the new requirement is saying this, the nearest whole decimal place. So for example, DB has 1000 salary value like that. What is expected in here? Test case, expected result. I'm just writing shortcut, okay? Expected result say the salary. I mean, you have to go to the database and find it, compare it, and then do it. All these steps you will do, but the expected result as a high level, it is showing the salary numerical value should display in nearest whole decimal, right? Whole decimal place. So that is, you can say that is, you just can code this way and saying, well, nearest whole decimal, nearest whole 2 decimal place, nearest whole 2 decimal place. So this is the example, okay? So you can now, you have to make a test data table in separate sheets as like salary, expected data would be like this.
You would do transition to Excel?
One second, I will just directly copy this and then put it in here, okay, and then create a test data with the with this rounding 2. So rounding 2 makes it 12, right? And if it is, you can set up a rule that if it is below 50, it should be rounding down. If it is below 50, I mean above 50, then it should be rounding up. So the example data should be 100. Expected data should be 100. So I would be saying field name. Well, I'm not showing the testing class right here, but just quickly, okay? Requirement data, and then here would be expected data, right? So this will be your test data. So you will apply all this method, and then also the steps that you have to go to database, inquire about data, and get the exact value, and then compare it in here. So this will be your data comparison sheet. So and then
you would do it in Excel, or you would do it somewhere in
I prefer to do in Excel because you can do mathematical computation in here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for attending, and whoever is interested for mock interview next week, you please send me your resume to beauty@piit.us.
Can you just give me some feedback on like what do you think how I did? Like what I should be like I'd be doing?
In general, like you know, if I was taking the technical interview, I would pass on you because I didn't get well elaboration from you. So I would suggest you to study more technical terms with an example or including the technical or technical concept in there.
Okay.
So this is honest opinion for you.
Yeah. So just add
Okay.
some examples.
I'm not sure about GTP. Do you guys have some sort of like project examples, whatever, for example?
For QTP, any web-based application that you are doing is good example because the QTP, all you are doing is your ready-made project you are testing against. In real life project, what happens if you are a manual tester, you are really creative. You have to understand the requirement, know how to test like this, you know, the data verification and comparison and all this. Manual testing is more affordable than QTP testing, vice versa. Like if you think about technological point of view, QTP is intense for me, and some companies also offering manual testing job less money than QTP. But from the project point of view, I see that manual testing is more intense than using QTP only because you're not struggling with the business requirement. You're struggling with the current application which is already made.
So manual testing is more harder.
Of course, because you have to understand the requirement and to test, because you have to be master of the developer. Isn't it? Meaning the developer is master for coding, but you have to be master of from the user point of
And the
view.
manual testing, which is actually the ALM, the application life management cycle.
No, that is the tool, repository tool you are using. Your concept should be coming from this education. Like, you know, if you know the quality assurance process and you need to know what are the different type of testing and what we are discussing, all is your quality assurance education that you are going to apply to be a manual tester, right?
How can I be knowledgeable about this situation?
What did you not gain from this class?
Actually, I just came today, my first day.
No, I mean the question I've heard many times, like could you talk about your project, like your project at your current job or previous job? And I believe you guys have some examples of the projects like that, or you don't? It's not providing PNC, like the example of the project from the previous job, like previous job, you know what I mean?
Yeah, only the
If interviewer will ask me, okay, what did you do in your previous job, previous project? Because I know people ask such questions.
1 second, please, hold on.
Give you the project description.
Huh?
They didn't give you the project description.
I didn't get my resume yet.
Oh,
They
when
did
you
do it?
get
When they give you a resume, you'll get.
Oh, they do it.
they give you
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes, I sent you guys the today's note in the chat session. Okay. So yeah, I mean, only the difference you will have from the class to real life is like your QTP will be in the secure network development server.
It will not be on our machine.
No. Because you're, okay, think about that. How robot will connect to the system, application system?